Hi everyone, it's Miss Teresa. For today, we are going to try to do some projects that you can do around your house. So, I'll show you a few things you can do to have fun at home, maybe with some stuff you might have around your house, or maybe you can, improvise and do it with kind of the same stuff. But let's see. So, the first thing we're going to do is make a viewfinder. And to make our viewfinder, what you need is a toilet paper roll, or you can use a paper towel roll if you want to, and you need some saran wrap, and you'll put that over the top like this and fold it around. And then to secure it, if you have rubber bands, you can put a rubber band around it. I don't have a rubber band at my house, so I'm going to use tape. And I'm going to get a piece of tape, and I'm just going to lightly stick it around to hold it on. So I can see you when I look through it, but that's not what we're going to do with it. We're going to take a sticker. So I have these stickers that have sticky on the back, and I'm going to peel it off, peel the paper off, and stick it onto my viewfinder. Just like that. Do you know what shape that is? That's right, it's a heart. So if you have some stickers, you can stick stickers on these. If you don't have any stickers, you could get a piece of paper and cut out a little shape and stick it on there. You could glue it on there. You could cut out letters, numbers. But let me show you what you're going to do with this viewfinder. Let me turn on my flashlight and hold the flashlight up. And can you see on the wall behind me? Let's see. If I move over, can you see the heart? It shows up on the wall. Look at that. There's the heart. Now I made some earlier. Tell me if you know what this one is when I hold it up. What letter is that? It's an X. That's right. See the X? How about this one? See if we know this one. It's an O. There we go. O for octopus. So those are some cute little things you can make. And play with them at home. You can put whatever you want to on them, whatever kind of stickers. If you had little animal stickers, whatever you have, you can put them on there and shine the light if you have a regular flashlight, or borrow someone's phone with a flashlight, and make little viewfinders. The next game we're going to play is something you can do with cards. Now, some of you might have what's called Uno cards at home. Those are really good for playing this game because they have big, colorful numbers on them, and you can see the numbers and you can count objects on them. But I don't have any of those, and I don't have any playing cards either, so I just made some cards. I wrote a number on it, and I drew how many of something that goes with the number. So you can make those if you don't have any cards. So let's start with the first one. The first card I have is number 4. That's right. And how do I check and see if that's correct? I would count how many objects are on there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, why do I touch each one when I'm counting? That's right. It's to make sure that I count each one so I know exactly how many there are. Now with some of them, you can kind of look at them and your brain already knows, oh, there's 2 of those. You don't even really have to count because you kind of just know already. But sometimes it's good to check and make sure you're right. So let's count. 1, 2. And is that the number 2? Yes, it is. That's the number 2. So we have a 2 and a 4. What would you say if I asked you, is 4 more than or less than 2? What do you think? Did you guess more than? You think 4 is more than 2? You would be right. There are more flowers on this one than there are on this one. So 4 is more than 2. Now let's use some counters. One way we can do counters is with clothespins, if you happen to have some clothespins. So let's put the number of clothespins on that go with the number. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what if you didn't have any clothespins at your house? Could you still play this game? Yes, you could. You could use counters. If you have some little mini erasers, you could put erasers on it and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you don't have any erasers at your house. What else could you use? What do you think? You could use little pieces of pasta if you had some pasta. You could go out in your yard and maybe find some little rocks. See these rocks I found outside? And you could count those. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could even go out and gather some leaves and use some leaves. You can use your imagination and go outside and find some counters, make yourself some cards, and do some card games. Try to figure out which one's more, which one's less, put counters on them, and play some fun counting games. All right, another very fun thing to do that you would need to have your parents help with is at my house we always have a lot of extra little bottles of nail polish in all different colors. Look at all these colors of nail polish. We have purples and pinks and blues, all different colors. Well, what could you do with that? Nail polish is kind of like painting, isn't it? So you could ask your mom if you could go outside, this is an outside game, and find little rocks and sit some little rocks maybe on a piece of paper in the grass and paint the little rocks with the nail polish and make a whole bunch of colorful little rocks. I painted this one earlier, it's dry. I made a little red one. You could paint a whole bunch of little rocks and those could be your counters in the counting games you play. We had the one with the muffin cups the other day. You could make patterns with them, do red, red, blue, red, red, blue. Make a pattern with your rocks. There are lots of little things you could do with that. And that's just by using some old nail polish. And like I said, make sure you ask your mom and dad and sit outside and do that, but that is a lot of fun. And you could even ask your mom and dad, they could trace your hand on a piece of paper. Let me find my pen. Like this. You could trace your hand like that. And then you could do it on cardboard too. That would really work. You could take a little rock. Let me make sure you can see this. And put a little rock on the tip of each finger like a fingernail. And like I said, you're doing this outside so you don't make a mess in the house. And you could paint each little fingernail and make fingernails. That would be really cute. So that's something you could do. I made this earlier. We all know what this is. I took a piece of cardboard and I made a tic-tac-toe board. And then I took some bigger rocks that I found. That one's blue, and then I had some orange fingernail polish, and I made some blue and some orange. This is a bag of rocks you can just get at the dollar store for $1 if you want to. Or you can just go out in the yard and find some rocks. And you can play a game of tic-tac-toe where somebody goes first and they try to make 3 in a row and someone tries to stop them and block them with theirs. Let's see, they're still a little bit wet. Oh, 3 in a row. 1, 2, 3. The orange one's won. So that is a little tic-tac-toe game you can make with fingernail polish and some rocks. That's easy enough. And you can take that, you can keep it in a baggie and then take it outside and play with it anytime you want to. Now, something else I made. I have a little bag here and I took these rocks and I was going to make story rocks. Now, to make story rocks, there are many different ways you can make them. You can paint them and then draw on them with a pen. You can put stickers on them. You could draw a picture on a piece of paper and then glue it on. That's kind of what we're going to do today. But what I did was I went to my computer and I printed out some tiny little pictures. You could ask your mom and dad if they would go to the computer and print out some tiny pictures for you. If you look right here, I have a star, and you would cut out the star cut around it small enough so that it will go on your rock. Let's not make sharp edges. Let's cut all around the star. And then what I did, I have something called Mod Podge, but you could just use glue. You could even just use a glue stick. You could mix a little bit of glue and water and paint it on. This stuff is just like glue and water. So I painted a little bit on the rock, like that. And then I stuck the picture on it, like that. And then I painted over the top of it with the sticky stuff, like that. And then when it dries, see how wet and goopy it is right now? When it dries, it will be clear. Let me show you the ones I painted earlier. Let me wipe this stuff off my fingers. So in my bag, I have a dragon. Balloons. I have a little girl. I have, a stream, a little stream going through some grass, and I think there's a little fish in it. Can you see the little fishy swimming in the stream? There's a little boy. And there's a castle. There you go. So when you make your story blocks, just find a bunch of little things and put them on your story blocks. And the way you play is you shake up the bags. You don't know which one. And then you don't peek. And you reach in and you pull one out. And you start to tell a story. So let's start. We picked out some balloons. Let's start our story with balloons. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, some balloons went floating across the prairie. Let's put that one down. Let's see what else we have in here. Let's pick one out. No peeking. Oh, look at this one. The balloons floated and floated until they landed by a castle. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. The castle door opened and a little boy ran out and he saw the balloons and he was so excited because today was his birthday. So he grabbed the balloons and he ran back into the castle. I wonder what will happen next. All right, don't peek. Meanwhile, down by a stream, there was a little fish swimming all alone, lazy day by the stream, wondering what would happen today. Let's see what else we can find. Whoop, look at this. When a little girl came up, and she was crying and sad. And the fish in the stream said, "Why are you crying and sad?" And she said, "I was on my way to a birthday party and I got lost. It's my best friend's birthday and I don't know where his castle is." And she sat down by the stream to rest. Well, just about that time, a dragon came by. And the dragon asked the little girl, "Why are you so sad?" And she told the dragon that it was her best friend's birthday and she didn't know where his castle was. And the dragon said, "Well, you know what? I know where the castle is. I can take you." And she climbed up on the dragon's back and he flew her to the castle where she had a wonderful party with her best friend. And that's the story I told with the rocks. And I didn't know which rock I was going to pull out first. I just pulled one out and then told a story. And you can do the same thing. You make some rocks. You can make a whole bunch of them and put them in there and pull them out one at a time and tell a story to someone with them. So that's a very fun activity you can do with story rocks. Let's see. To end today, I would like to read you a book, and it's a book that some of you know already because we read this in class, but it's about arts and crafts and how art comes from inside of you. Art is something that you have inside of you. Nobody tells you what it is. It's just your own thing, and you put it on paper, and then you share it with people, and that's your art. Doesn't matter if it's the greatest art ever or if it's just a little bit of art. It's what you feel inside, and you put it on paper, and then you can share it with people. So let's see. The art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Uh-oh. Her paper's empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Does her teacher really see a polar bear on an iceberg? No, she just sees white, and that's what color those are. She's just joking with her. Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed the felt tip pen, and she gave the paper a good, strong jab. What would happen if you jabbed the paper like that? What would you make? The teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. Look how hard she's looking at the piece of paper. She pushed the paper towards Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." What does that mean, sign it? That's right, sign it means write your name on it. Vashti thought for a minute. Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. So she wrote her name. The next week when Vashti walked into her art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in pretty swirly gold. Look at that. Beautiful picture. "I can make a better dot than that," said Vashti, and she opened her never-before-used set of watercolors, and she got to work. Oh, let's see. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, then a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow, and that made green. That's right. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many different colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. And Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush and on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Look how big that one is down there. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. Look at that. She painted all around the edges, and so it made a white dot in the middle. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Look at all of her dots on the wall for everybody to look at them and enjoy them. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Uh-oh. He thinks he's not an artist. Vashti smiled, and she handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me," she said. The boy's pencil shook as he drew a line across the paper. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, what do you think she told him to do? Sign it. She wanted him to put his name on his squiggle because that was a good squiggle because he had created it. It's what he felt inside, and he put it on the paper, and then he shared it with her by signing his name and saying, "This is my squiggle and it's what I made." So don't be worried when you draw a picture of what, you think you can't draw or something. Just have fun and draw and create fun things and have a good time. And I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye.